Okay, so let's get started here. So, we're here today to celebrate the life of a kind soul, a generous soul, and a beautiful soul. And I'm proud to say she was my mom. She's probably in heaven right now for many reasons, but honestly, her putting up with all the trouble I gave her is probably enough to have gotten her there. I was an easy kid to raise, and I have a lot of regrets about all the trouble and challenges that I put her through. Lots of late nights and partying, and I kept her up more nights than I could probably count. And she actually had to bail me out of jail twice. You know, I'm glad she was there for me, but it's terrible to put a parent through that. But what I really regret the most is my homework in high school. I wanted to drop out so bad, but she wasn't having it. She's doing everything in her power to get me through, and she'd stay up late with me and help me with my assignments and bribe me. My teachers didn't really care for me, but she would go down to school and fight for me. She'd be like, "You gotta let him pass, you gotta let him pass." So anyway, I made it. I made it through high school, and I'm glad. Because I went on to college, and I actually graduated with honors when I was 48. But I made it, and you know, she was proud of that. And so I've been going through her belongings, and a lot of learning different things about her, a lot of touching things. You know, she used to be a school teacher in her 20s, and her lesson plans are just so nice to look at. They're meticulous. Back when people used to use cursive, and like she would, no mistakes, and like so much handwriting, and she'd cut out little things and paste them, and notes, and all her students' pictures and everything. And yeah, it's just touching to see how much energy she put into teaching those kids. It hurts to throw those things away. So all of her lessons plans, you know, it's going to be painful to throw them away because it represents her dedication, her imagination, and her heart. That comes from AI, and I think it's really nice, but just had to find it. Here we go. I'm in order now. Okay, she worked just as hard to build a home for me and my brother and our family. And it's also going to be sad to rip that apart. Every pot, plant, pan, glass, cup, it has memories from our childhood. Some of the appliances and bakeware, it's older than I am. You know, look at these pie pans, it reminds me of all the baking she used to do, especially like apple pies, pumpkin pies, cheesecakes, lasagna. We used to joke that she was Martha Stewart times 10, because she always worked extra hard to make the holidays special. So you're full of decorations, food, and warmth. Don't get sad. Okay. As much as I love all the food she prepared, I had a hard time with her overdoing things a little bit because it was just too much. You know, we can only eat so much food. And for the last 10 years, I'd be like, "Mom, let's tone it down a little bit. We can't eat that much food. It's going to go to waste." And as you know, producing food is hard on the environment. Eating too much is hard on our bodies. It's hard on our pocketbook. And then if you waste it and put it in the landfill, it's hard on the environment some more. So I was like, it's a lose, 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 lose situation. Let's just make a little less. She's like, no. So like, I never got my way with that. But last Christmas, she could hardly walk. And I'm like, okay. So I made a meal plan. I was like, "Mom, this is the meal plan. It's really nice, right? We're going to make this. I'll make it. I'll buy it. And we'll just keep it simple." And she's like, "Okay, yeah." Because, you know, she was losing energy. And I was like, "Yes, finally won." But what happened was the day before Christmas, she insisted I take her to Giant. And I was like, "That's a grocery store." And so I got her in the car. We get there. She gets in one of those electric buggies. And I had to get my video camera off, so I was like, "This is going to be both comical and tragic. But you know, to see her go at it like that, she was a little confused and tired, but she did it. Like, she was getting the stuff off the shelves, but it was very inspiring. When I saw that, you know, I was glad I came from her. You know, like just her, because right up to the end, you know, she was working as hard as she could to serve other people. So it was very inspiring. Yeah. So, yeah, it showed how powerful her desire was to serve everyone the best she could right up to the end. So, anyway, it wasn't always easy getting along with her because she was a perfectionist. A total type A personality, full of passion, ambition, and vigor. You know, which has two sides, of course. And I loved the fact that she could get things done and how her attention to detail. But, you know, one thing that saddens me is I don't think she ever knew how great she really was, because she's always looking for that one extra. But anyway, I'm grateful that I inherited her zest for life and her attention to the detail. You know, I'm really proud of her also because she was a giver, and she went the extra mile for family, friends, neighbors. Her generosity extended to churches, Red Cross. She did Meals on Wheels for as long as she could. So helping out people, it wasn't just what she did, it's who she was. Okay. Don't get sad. Right. I was fortunate to be with her for the last year and a half of her life. So I lived with her. And we took good care of each other. She afforded me time to introspect and work on my career change. And I got to help her in her time of need. I'm grateful I had a chance to reciprocate for all that she had done for me. It was nice, it's like our roles reversed. When I was a kid, she used to make like baked sweet potatoes and cut them down the middle, mash them with the fork, put a ton of butter on it. And she'd do it right in front of me, I'd be so happy. And I did the same for her. You know, I'd make her pierogies, put the onions on and cut them up. And she was always so grateful. It really came from the heart. She said, "Thank you, Jeff." You know, like much more gracious than I was towards her. So anyway, we never fought much. It was a nice year and a half. But you know, I used to like to put the commercials on mute on the TV. She didn't like that. So, and also, you know, sometimes I tell her, you know, you should eat a little better, maybe exercise, and that didn't go over so well either. But I didn't push her too much. And, you know, I respected her right to do what she wanted. And we had a very nice year and a half of closure. So it's sad that she's gone, but I'm also glad she's not suffering anymore. Her mind was sharp to the end. She could solve all those Wheel of Fortune puzzles and answer Jeopardy questions and all that. She could take care of herself. She knew who she was. That's a plus. So it was very nice. And so I'm glad it ended swift before she had to go in and suffer. So there's no such thing as a perfect mom, or
got that right, brother.
Got some support. Thanks. So there's no such thing as a perfect mom, a perfect son, or a perfect person, of course. But there's a measure. But there's a measure of what makes someone the best mother they could be, and that measure is love. The one standard, the one defining quality is that unconditional love that only a mother can give. Ooh. I'm almost at the end, okay. So, when it comes to love, and when it comes to love, my mom gets top marks. I wouldn't change a thing. So yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. So Mom, if you're listening right now, I love you very much. Thank you for everything you've done for me. And I wish you peace, joy, and the very best in your transition. Okay. Almost made it. Okay. So anyway, let's pull it together here. And we know my mom was Catholic, and I really appreciate her values. And she'd always tell me, "Don't do this, don't do that." I'm like, "Oh no way!" But I agree with her now. And, anyway, so we're going to do some Catholic prayers.
Well, I mean, if anybody would like to say anything, no pressure, feel free to share anything. If not, I might share a few things and say a couple prayers.
Yeah, so you can just sit where you are and say something. You can come up here or whatever. No pressure.
If it's okay, I want to
Yes.
just real quick. Oh, I can.
Yeah, save the day.
Goodness, okay. So I have a lot of really important women in my life. Two of them are back there.
Who's that?
Oh, it's Emily. Hi, Emily, Linda's daughter.
Oh yeah, Linda's daughter, Emily.
Yes. And of course my mom, but I call them fairy godmothers, the ones that aren't my mother. And Elsie was definitely one of my fairy godmothers. She was my confirmation sponsor. She used to take me shopping like my other fairy godmothers, and loved to buy me glittery things and glitzy things. And when I was a teenager, she took me to New York City and Atlantic City because I had been dying to see the Phantom of the Opera, and I had probably annoyed my parents so much begging them to take me. And so the two of us went on this trip together, and it was wonderful. I have a book I brought with me, a scrapbook that she made with me of our trip, and she had lots of commentary. She did not like cab drivers. She thought they were dangerous. She was so much fun, and I always looked forward to her visits when she would come back to Greensburg. And I regret that my life after I got married especially took me all over the place, and I lived in a lot of different places and didn't see her very often, but I hope she knows that, I always loved her and thought of her, and very important to me.
Thanks so much. That was nice. And my brother said most everything, so. I remember, so Jeff graduated college at 48, and so did my mom, and she really worked hard to do that. She lived here in Greensburg and went to California and Indiana. Went to Elizabethtown and finally graduated from Wilson. So it took her all of like 15 years probably to get her bachelor's degree.
I didn't realize you were about 48 when you got them.
Yeah, and she was 93 when I went to graduation. And so it's tenacity. She really, did what she needed to do, and it wasn't easy. You couldn't take classes online. She had to physically go, and there was no college close to her. She went to Elizabeth. I think all total, she enrolled and went to 10 schools before she graduated. And she was able I think she didn't even go work for another 5 years after that, but she went to Susquehanna Township High School and was a paraeducator. didn't want to go get her teacher certification because she didn't think she could pass the math, even though I argued with her and said, look, just try it, go ahead. But she still had a 15-year career there and you know, helped folks and used her education to do that. And you know, surprisingly at a late age, and it was tenacity. I don't know how she did it, because I remember just, you know, the hour she would drive an hour each way and then be doing homework, and she was meticulous. Like Jeff said, her handwriting and her penmanship was just immaculate. Mine is just god awful. And you know, and the holidays, just overcooking, and this is where a lot of that ended up. You know, it's like I would always come home with a massive amount of leftovers that would last the rest of the week, and you know, but everything had to be perfect, and you always knew you were loved and cared for, and it really meant a lot to her. So, and I got to go on vacations with her a lot. Just you know, she and I would go to the shore and just spend time together. And I was happy I got to take her down to Florida to be with her brothers for one last time. A couple years ago, I think that was nice and special, and we got to learn a lot about the family and hear a lot of stories from Uncle Frank and everybody. I think that was a good moment, and you know, just try to sort of best we could to take care of her. And you know, like Jeff said, glad she's not suffering anymore, and you know, I just, you know, glad everyone, really appreciate everyone coming so we could celebrate her, and it means a lot. And she was very Catholic, so I am going to say a few Catholic prayers. I'm not necessarily sure I'm Catholic as much, but I always like Psalm 23. I think that's always appropriate. So, the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures and leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all of the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Where's the other one? And this eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them. May the souls of all the faithful departed in the mercy of God rest in peace. Amen.